buyers are starting to get nervous, and with good reason. The housing market is showing a lot of red flags at the moment. Between housing affordability hitting the worst levels in over 30 years, you have house prices that are rapidly declining, mortgage rates are on their way back up again, and home builders are starting to feel like we're already in the midst of the beginning of a housing recession. So today I want to give you the latest of what's going on in the housing market, what the Fed has been doing behind closed doors that not many people are talking about, and just how bad this housing correction is looking like it's going to be. But before I get started, do me a favor and support the channel by smashing that like button, and if you haven't already done so, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell to watch more content like this. And with that said, let's jump into it. Housing affordability information has just been released for the month of June, and we are officially at the worst levels of housing affordability since 1989, over 30 years ago. And the biggest reason behind this is that combination of mortgage rates spiking and house prices hitting their all-time highs. Now, home prices, we know they've been growing significantly since the pandemic took place, and we had this all-time record low inventory taking place, which has caused prices to surge at astronomical rates. According to the National Association of Realtors, in home price appreciation, we saw 12.9% appreciation in the year 2020 and over 15.8% appreciation in the year 2021. And if mortgage rates had stayed put at these record low mortgage rates that they were earlier on in the year, then we'd probably be seeing another double-digit year. But of course that isn't the case. As you know, mortgage rates are up significantly at the moment. If we just went to last August of 2021, mortgage rates were sitting on average at about 2.8% for a 30-year fixed interest rate, whereas today in August we're looking at about 5.6%. So we've been seeing affordability plummet because of home prices going up so significantly, yet at the same time mortgage rates spiking the way they have over the past year. And so that combination of those two things together has caused so many home buyers to be priced out of the market, and even the home buyers that remain are starting to get very nervous. Now we can see evidence of this with Redfin's recent report showing that over 16.1% of buyers in contract have been canceling their contracts. This is the highest level of contract cancellations we've seen since 2017 when they started tracking that statistic in the first place, except for 2 months when the pandemic started in 2020 of March and April. Now, some of these cities are seeing much worse numbers than the national average. One of those cities that came right at the top of the list is Jacksonville, Florida, seeing over 29% of their listings that are under contract getting canceled. And then you have Las Vegas, Nevada coming in at number 2, over 27%. You also had Lakeland, Florida and New Orleans at around 26%, and San Antonio in at number 5 with about 25%. 1 in 4 contracts getting canceled. You see, with an increasing amount of homes on the market, the buyers now have much more leverage than they did several months ago when they had to waive appraisals and waive inspection contingencies. We're now at the point where if the buyers can't get the price reduced or get the necessary repairs agreed to after the inspection time is done, then they're just backing out of the contract and willing to take their chances on the market. Now, if you're looking to buy a house right now in today's housing market, it's very important that you understand that the future is very uncertain at this point. There could be more house price declines, and so because of that, it's so essential that you negotiate heavy on price and terms at this point, and you have the ability to do that because the ball is in your favor right now. You see, the housing market correction has already started taking place, and if you get caught up in the FOMO and you end up overpaying for a property, you're going to land yourself in a very dangerous place where you have negative equity in your house as we're potentially coming into an economic recession. Now, as far as where nationwide house prices are right now, what we're seeing is that they're currently down 5.5% from the peak. But some cities are definitely worse than others. We're already seeing San Francisco with a 12.3% decline from the peak. Austin, Texas is down 10.1%. Boise, Idaho is down 8%, and Las Vegas, Nevada is currently down 7.5% from the peak. We also need to keep an eye on where the iBuyers are buying properties, and one of the worst areas for this where the iBuyers own a lot of properties is the market of Phoenix, Arizona. Did you know that Open Door currently owns over 10% of all the listings on the market right now? They own over 1,400 properties of the 14,000 single families listed. Now, these iBuyers have the ability to potentially flood flood the market and cause massive supply to come in. So that's why it's very important to keep an eye on some of those markets like Phoenix, Arizona. Now, with all of these things taking place, we're starting to see home builder sentiment plummet. The National Association of Home Builders recently released their index showing that their sentiment is at the worst levels it's been at since May of 2020, basically when the pandemic fears were at their height. In fact, Chief Economist Robert Dietz is with the National Home Builders Association, and he's been on the record stating that today's climate in the housing market is a housing recession. He also went on to talk about how tighter monetary policy from the Federal Reserve, along with higher construction costs, has contributed significantly to this housing recession. Now, all of this is very true. What he's saying, the Federal Reserve has played a huge role in this housing market correction, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any better anytime soon. For starters, the Fed is just not doing what it said it was going to do in the first place. The Fed initially announced that they plan to offload their balance sheet of mortgage-backed securities and treasury bonds, and that would have likely raised mortgage interest rates even higher. Now, the way they wanted to do this is they didn't want to sell a bunch of them. They wanted to let them naturally roll off. So basically, that's just a way of saying they want to let these bonds mature in the time they're set to do so. Then once those bonds have matured naturally, they would not reinvest that money into buying more bonds. They had initially set their expectations to release $17.5 billion a month off their balance sheet of mortgage-backed securities and $30 billion of treasury bonds, but so far they have not been coming anywhere close to that number. Now, one of the reasons we're seeing this take place is because of the high mortgage rates we're seeing take place right now. People don't want to refinance because they're already likely locked into a much lower interest rate, and they don't want to buy a house right now. We've seen demand drop significantly because who wants to buy a house that's the same size for double the price? So those mortgage-backed securities aren't going to mature until the time has ended on their mortgage. So if they're not selling a home to mature it, or they're not refinancing a home to mature it, you are having to wait the whole 30 years or the 15 years, whatever the term set in their mortgage. So not many people are really talking about this at the moment, but the big question is as these numbers become more mainstream, what is the Fed going to do? Are they going to become more aggressive to finally meet those expectations? Maybe they start selling some of these treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, or are they going to stay complacent with where they're at? If they do get more aggressive, we could see an increase even more so on mortgage rates, and we're already starting to see those climb back up. Like I mentioned, we were not even a week or two ago as low as 5.05% on mortgage interest rates, or 5.09%, somewhere around that range. Now we're sitting at 5.6%, so we're already starting to see them go up. Now, if you put all these mortgage-backed securities back on the market again, that's only going to cause mortgage rates likely to go even higher. Then you add to that the fact that the Fed is planning to continue hiking interest rates, the federal funds rate I'm talking about specifically, which affects things like car payments, personal loans, HELOCs, things of that nature, and that's only going to slow down the economy even more than we're already seeing right now, which is why so many people are expecting an economic recession to be just around the corner. The Fed has made it quite clear, according to the last Fed meeting notes, that they plan to keep hiking rates until the inflation can get to a point where they feel like it's solidly going to hit that 2% range. So all of this is not really great news for the housing market. It really signals that there's a good chance we could continue to see house prices decline even further than where they're at now, especially with everything that hasn't even come into effect that could continue to significantly impact the prices of houses. But anyways, we're going to continue to monitor this. I'm going to continue to give you updates. So if you enjoyed today's video and you gained some value from it, do me a favor and support the channel by smashing that like button. And if you haven't already done so, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell to watch more content like this. Also, let me know what you think about what's going on in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Finally, follow me on TikTok and Instagram at The Out of State Investor. And if you enjoyed today's video, you're definitely going to enjoy one of these two videos over here. And with that said, I'll see you guys on the next one.